Jack and Scott on the Fishbowl. Welcome.
Hey Sam, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm
Hey,
good.
thanks for having us.
Thank you for
Glad to
having us
have
on.
glad to have you guys on the show. Some local filmmakers. This is a first for the Fishbowl. A wonderful first, by the way.
Thank you.
Jack has his coffee. Scott has his water and the possibility of whiskey because it's in the room.
It's a dangerous possibility.
Dangerous
I'm open
possibility.
to it.
um, Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about Ramming Speed Pictures?
Sure. So we started as Ramming Speed Pictures probably about a year, 2 years ago, something like that. But Scott and I have been working together for a little longer than that, and then separately we've been working in film and theater and writing for I think forever, right? Something like forever.
Something like forever.
Yeah. But we
Longer than I should.
yeah, longer than a sane person should. We do commercials and music videos, spots, and whenever we are allowed to choose whatever we want, we do short films. And that is what we are here to talk about, is our next and possibly our last short film called Out Goes She. You see, Rainy Speed Pictures is taking a long hiatus, or we're sending it out to the farm because Scott is moving the whole way to the other side of the United States to Portland. So we decided that we were going to have a grand finale. We're going to take all the things we wanted to do while we were working together and make this short film. Put all of our energy. Really hope this project kills us. So yeah, that's
Then I'll have to move. Great.
Then yeah, I'm not saying that was the plan the whole time, but
Well, if I remember correctly, there is a hit man or hit woman
yes,
involved in Out Goes She.
yes.
So is she going to be putting the hit on Scott or?
Well, we're holding auditions for quote unquote actresses. So yeah, we'll see if Scott makes it out of this one.
But no, I won't be there at auditions, so this is all working out very conveniently.
Yeah, but I think we'll wait till after you're finished cutting it because nobody wants to take that joy away from you.
Great. So I shouldn't say it's ever done.
Yeah. So that's Ramming Speed.
Awesome. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what I already kind of hinted there's
Sure.
a hit man or hit woman involved in Out Goes She. So what exactly is Out Goes She about as far as you can
Sure. I've gotten
discuss?
really good at talking about it without saying anything about it.
The key of
Yeah.
being a writer
Yeah.
and filmmaking and trying to give the elevator pitch as we all know so well and can be so nerve-wracking and difficult to do.
It really is. You'd think, man, it's probably going to be like 2 minutes of my life, but it's just like a terrifying 2 minutes.
Right.
Sell your story to someone. But don't worry, like I said, I've had a lot of practice at not telling people what it's about. So Out Goes She is a short film. It's a dark short film about Marla, who is an assassin. And she goes out on what she thinks is going to be a quote unquote usual job. Just take out these three guys. They mess with the wrong people. She's being hired to take them out. When she's on this this mission, or whatever you want to call it, she runs into somebody from her past, somebody who's caused her significant pain, somebody who's really kind of destroyed her life. And she decides to change from killing these three guys to killing this person from her past. And it goes terribly wrong. Awful. Just completely screws it up. And she ends up taking the last guy that she has not killed and going on the run with him. So that's like the first 3 minutes of the short. So what I can talk about now is the style of it, because if I'm being completely honest, the story is, I think it's not the most original story in the sense that we've seen hitman movies, we've seen crime thrillers, we've seen mob movies, we've seen all these kinds of films. What's different about it is the way that we're presenting it, and where Scott and I come from.
Claymation.
We're doing completely claymation, Play-Doh. So we're also hiring.
Clay is so passe. We're just
Right,
going straight
right.
to Play-Doh.
Sinbad and Clash of the Titans.
Oh yeah, just really want that smell of that kind of like plasticky, salty aroma.
Right.
Just never get out of our carpet. We're also hiring animators. So one of the first things we did, and I promise this will loop back around. One of the first things we did as a company when we joined together was we made each other say our top 5 movies and our top 5 must-see movies. So ones that we're like unabashedly in love with, and ones where like these are movies you have to watch to understand me. And what we noticed, it's kind of generalized. My film knowledge comes from like 70s New Hollywood, whereas Scott had a lot of Eastern influences in his. So what this is, what we hope to see here is kind of a mashup of those two styles. And weirdly enough, the thing we've been using, our kind of like Bible for this film, is already a kind of 70s New Hollywood Eastern influence combination, which is Cowboy Bebop.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
That Cowboy Bebop is probably one of the best animes like ever conceived. And I am a huge anime fanatic, especially when it comes to the sci-fi horror like cult classic stuff. Like I just am expanding my anime Blu-ray collection. Just got like Fist in the North Star, Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Vampire Hunter D, all the good stuff. And unfortunately, I don't have Cowboy Bebop on Blu-ray yet because that's
Not yet on Blu-ray? Do they have it on
they
Blu-ray?
do have it on Blu-ray. They have the entire series. I think on Amazon Prime it's like 30, and then they have the movie on Blu-ray, which is like $10 or something Prime. So on the list.
Yeah. Well, Jack just has it on DVD, which is why we're doing this Kickstarter.
To raise money for the Blu-ray, yeah.
To raise money for the Blu-ray, exactly.
So please donate so we can buy more.
Cowboy Bebop. To the Fishbowl as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 50-50.
Right.
So specifically what we're gathering from Cowboy Bebop is we feel that in American cinema, when you show a fight scene, you show a fight scene, and then it's over. And then you cut to the next scene, whatever. In Cowboy Bebop, you have a fight scene, a chase scene, whatever this like cool, sweet action scene is, and then you keep going after that. You have the moments after that where you see the characters play out, often in a way that's pretty darn depressing. I can't remember the name of the episode, but there's an episode where Jet goes to see his old girlfriend, and they're sitting in the bar, and it's really tense, and they're sipping their drinks, and you see one of those old timey like drinking birds that like dips into a glass and then tilts back, and then dips into a glass and tilts back, and then you see the ice kind of like click and fall as it melts. Just these kind of like little moments of like letting the atmosphere kind of flow out. We have a moment like not like that exactly, but that kind of feeling in the movie early on that I don't mind talking about it, where Marla has just taken out a guy in the way, just like not an overly important guy, just a person who's in the way, and she goes into the bathroom to like finish searching through his phone for some stuff, and she looks up into the mirror, and kind of just stares at herself. She has like some blood on her face, and just kind of wipes it off with a towel. And it's that kind of like moment after where you see the character kind of like play out beyond what you would normally see. That is the kind of boiled down essence of what we want to show. Because Out Goes She is a character study of Marla. So yeah, does that sound about right?
Yeah, there's lots of action in the film, but it's never about the action. It's always about Marla, and Marla happens to find this action. It's part of her world. So it's not so much that we're looking in this world and observing the action as we are looking at Marla, and we happen to observe the action kind of unfolding around her as part of her circumstances.
we really wanted to avoid it being cool. Like there's plenty of cool movies out there. As I look around the fishbowl, I see a lot of them. We didn't want to be cool because what Marla does doesn't bring her any joy, and what we wanted to show is how she feels. So anytime that as I was writing the script, it got to the point like, oh, that's like a cool one-liner. We're like, scratch it. Nope, can't have that one-liner. Or like, man, that's really cool what you just did there. Like, nope, make it suck. um, so yeah. I have a feeling that we're going to get. I've listened to the podcast and like, oh, I can see us very easily getting sucked down a rabbit hole of film nerddom. So I want to say the important stuff before we happily go down one of those rabbit holes.
Right.
So that
Get the Duke A number one stuff out of the way.
So here it is. To make this short film happen, and to really kind of show it the way we want to show it, it takes a little bit of money, more money than we have. Not that we're not already dumping all of our funds and kidneys and everything into it.
Because remember, like, selling kidneys on the black market does work.
Yes, it does. But we've already done that, so we need more kidneys.
Right. We're taking a donation for kidneys also. So.
Our mail's going to be really gross. So while we are putting a lot of our own funds towards this, we are asking the local community who have supported local artists in the past, or people who wanted to see Algoshi happen in a really interesting way, that if they go to our website, which is really easy to remember, it's the title, it's www.outgoesshe.com. It will take you straight to our Kickstarter. We made it as simple as possible for everybody. And if you like what we're saying, you can donate anywhere from $5 to $1 bazillion and a kidney. It's up to you if you want to do $5 or $1 bazillion and a kidney, or anywhere in between. But that Kickstarter ends on June 7th. And it's been up for about a week and some change, almost 2 weeks. So we have a little bit of time before that's over. Take a look. There's a lot of information on there. There's a sweet video that we've put together as well. You can take a look and laugh at us and make fun of our faces.
Yeah, at the very least, take the 2 minutes to shame us for our video.
Well, that's what we're here for. So that's the Kickstarter. The other important information is, as we mentioned before, we are having auditions to find our assassin as well as the other parts of it. We need to find the man who messed up her life. We need to find the man that she kidnaps, runs away with, stumbles into a car with, as well as there's some other characters I can't mention at this time. But the audition for all of those parts is at Pittsburgh Filmmakers on June 11th. I think that's a Saturday, from noon to 2. And you can feel free to send us an email, or you can message us directly through the Kickstarter if that's easier for you. Again, same email address, www.outgoesshe.com, and just we'll provide links there to the casting reel, as well as any other audition information that you need. And that's the important information.
Awesome.
All right, back to being nerds.
Yes.
Thank God.
The most important thing. Have to just real quick say on the follow-up with Pittsburgh Filmmakers, the Fishbowl took his first screenwriting course at Pittsburgh Filmmakers, and that basically said to me, this is what I want to do.
Nice.
And following fall, started at Point Park. Now I'm graduated. Now it's time to get into the workforce and make some movies. But that is the Fishbowl's important agenda out of the way as well. So now it's time to talk about movies.
Yeah.
Jack mentioned that his influence was more of like the 70s New Age, and for Scott it was the European cinema. Even further, exactly. The Asian, right? The Asian, exactly. So for me, it was my dad showing me Total Recall at age 5. and that defined me for who I am today.
I can imagine.
So we all have our various influences. Um, I've been posting on Facebook Schwarzenegger for president, because that's how much of an impact this guy has had on my life. And to be fair, they did predict it in Demolition Man. So,
That's
it would be
Sure, it's been foretold.
exactly in a movie. So,
completely historically accurate.
right. But then again, how many other stuff has movies predicted that we now have? Like how basically every 007 movie that's ever come out, like pretty much like 10 to 20 to 30 years down the road at this point, we have that technology. So,
well, hopefully we can get President Schwarzenegger in the office so that we can make the 3 seashell bathroom happen.
exactly, because that's really the biggest question of Demolition Man. Is it's not all the plot flaws that are in the movie. It's really the 3 seashells. Like, how does that work?
3 seashells in every bathroom. Schwarzenegger.
Right, exactly. Like, do we want Schwarzenegger or do we want Kanye West? I would go with Schwarzenegger because at least I know that like he's gonna have Israel's back, and all he really has to do is say I will terminate you, and we're good, like we're set. Kanye is like I'd be really concerned.
Yeah.
Rap battle politics, or I will terminate you politics.
I would like to see a wrap off between those 2 gentlemen, though.
That would be great.
I would.
That would be great. I did recently see Schwarzenegger post on Facebook a video with Miley Cyrus, so he's like in that
He's moving in.
he's moving in.
He's
So
a genuinely smart guy. I wouldn't mind listening to his album.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's interesting that you bring up that early influence, having your dad take you to Total Recall. I can't imagine.
Well, technically it was VHS Total Recall because
right.
I was 88, so
right.
and Total Recall I believe was 1990. So to be fair, it was at age 3 that I asked him to let me watch Total Recall, and it wasn't until 2 years of nonstop
Right.
begging to let me watch Total Recall.
He put up a good fight.
That he said 5. All right, okay, I'll let you watch it. He covered my eyes on the 3-titted lady, but everything else in that movie, like the human body shield on the escalator scene, the makeup effects, the exploding eyes, the head, expanding and all that because the no atmosphere thing. That was all okay. But 3 breasts, no go for 5.
Fair enough.
So you seeing that at 5 influenced the way you see movies, the way I'm assuming write movies.
Yes, exactly.
For me, writing this script specifically, the way I experienced movies and wanted to put them back out didn't come till probably like 10, 11, 12, 13, something like that. When I would start, I got a TV in my room for the first time. My next door neighbor was selling this old, like dumpy, like size of a small box. Had like 9 channels. He was selling it next door. I think I got it for like $3, and I was allowed to put it in my room, and that opened up the chance to watch movies till like 3 in the morning. When I should have been going to school, or I guess I was going to school, but I was going to school very tired, and I would stay up and watch movies I probably wouldn't be allowed to watch. I was not allowed to watch like anything that was above like PG. I was kept within those like the rating system. Um, but I would stay up and watch these movies like Blade Runner and Alien and Cronenberg's Existence, which people should go watch because it's really
that is a really underrated Cronenberg.
So strange. But these movies that what interested me about them was that they all had their own world. Like they had really developed their own kind of inclusive world. Um, and that's what I wanted to do with this was kind of give you that vibe of like, oh, this is cool. Like I probably shouldn't be watching this. Like if I got caught watching this, like oh, should I? But include this own world in it, uh, and really just kind of give that feeling I had when I was a teenager, staying up at night watching my like small box TV.
Right. Well, it's really interesting that you bring up Cronenberg and directors like that because, like, Cronenberg again is a huge influence for me because I love sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
Like, sci-fi horror is where it's at. Whether it's sci-fi by itself or horror by itself or the two combined with action and all that. Um, Cronenberg, especially with movies like Videodrome and like going way back, is like The Shivers.
Awesome
Um,
Shivers.
the Shivers is like his '70s stuff,
Yeah.
predating like Videodrome and The Fly and all like the Dead Zone and all that stuff. And this is when Cronenberg is like really fucking out there.
Yeah.
Because basically the plot for The Shivers is this parasite somehow gets inside this guy, and he's also from Canada, and his first few movies in the '70s were like really low budget, and
Right.
like a lot of stuff I guess you're trying to do right now, and and they took place in Canada, and he had a film called Rabid, and
Yes.
if The Shivers was like this two big kind of like claim to fame movies, called classics that transitioned him into actually getting somewhat of a budget for his like '80s stuff. But The Shivers is about a parasite that gets inside you that makes you want to have sex, and like it has like Lynn Laurie in it, so there's like a few cult classic actors and actresses in it, and basically it's like taking place at this like apartment complex where there's like a supermarket and like everything you need like inside this giant living apartment complex. And by the end of the movie, you have young people, old people, everyone in this complex is infected with these parasites, and they're running around like trying to have sex with each other.
I wonder you if you could get away with making that kind of movie today.
Yes and no, because theatrical, it's hard.
Right.
Video on demand, which I really want to say this real quick because I think video on demand is the next phase of where we're going with actual storytelling with film because I'm sure, being a fellow cinema guys, you've noticed pretty lately that most stuff that is theatrical in terms of storytelling is not that good. There's a few exceptions here and there, but for the most part, we get a lot of comic book movies. And don't get me wrong, I like going to see Captain America, and X-Men and all that stuff that's been coming out. I'm really excited for Suicide Squad and all that, but at the same time, like in the 80s and 90s and 70s and basically every decade prior to where we're at now, you had like a wide range of variety in terms of storytelling abilities in different genres of film. And what I've noticed with video on demand is that is where like the real originality of storytelling is coming back. Because like I saw Bone Tomahawk on there with Kurt Russell, and like that is one of the best, um, not only westerns but like kind of like horror movie westerns, which is like a new genre in a sense, and it was like really amazing. I mean, every character was completely well defined, had a huge character arc, and you had some really memorable kills in that movie. and it wasn't about the shock factor. It was about like telling this story that is based on actual events, which is about like kind of cannibalistic cave dwelling Indians. And it's Kurt Russell is basically an old Wyatt Earp,
Mhm.
which is what he's best
Right,
at
right.
playing right now. And it was just a really phenomenal film. At the same time, I saw Z for Zachariah, which is kind of like the story of Cain and Abel
Okay.
in a sense. That's what it's kind of based on. And because it's like uh, the end of the world happens, there's like a biological or chemical, kind of warfare, and this woman who is Margaret Robbie basically thinks she's the last person on Earth. And there's this one part of the Earth that isn't like destroyed by whatever chemical biological warfare that's ravaged the planet, and she finds I'm not sure how to pronounce his name,
Sure.
Chidwell, the black guy from 12 Years a Slave.
Yes. Yeah. I
Um,
don't know
yes,
anything either. Yeah.
rather than try to
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
that guy. And he stumbles into this land basically that she's been farming to keep it going, and they slowly start to fall in love. And he is able to assist her with fixing some stuff that she couldn't fix. Then all of a sudden, another guy shows up, which is Chris Pratt, and he's like a hillbilly hick that is kind of like that's where like the
Yeah.
Cain and Abel, clash comes in, and you have two guys that are fighting over literally the last woman on Earth, and one is a decent guy, and one
Yeah.
is a downright scumbag. Which is how's it gonna turn
Yeah.
out?
Yeah. I think. I mean, I know what you're saying. I typically see one or two movies a year that I'm like, that is a great film, and I see a bunch of movies that I enjoy that I wouldn't say are great. Um, and far be it for me to pretend like I know all of cinema history, but I think that you can fairly say that a lot of the mid-range budgeted features have kind of gone missing from theaters. Especially, I mean, we're in blockbuster scheduling right now,
Right.
so yeah, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of mid-range features unless you really try. I think that that's what needs to be said is that those movies are out there and they do exist. They're just not being promoted in the way that, like Batman versus Superman or Civil War, Captain America Civil War.
Right.
But if you look for them, like places on VOD, you can find them. And me, like I was saying, I come from New Hollywood background, so that's what those were. There was a well, not all of them, but like a lot of them were the mid-budget films that were more character-driven, which is what I think you're talking about. Is the more character-driven films, which is what I enjoy. I enjoy character. If you are dropping a country out of the sky or destroying a city, you don't have a whole lot of time to develop character. You can. It's hard to do, and that's why a lot of those films kind of deal with stock characters as opposed to well-developed characters. Um, what we wanted to do with our short, Out Goes She, is to try to. I wanted to challenge myself with having a lot of action, but also having rounded characters. There are some stock characters in there as well, because I think there's a place for that. But yeah, I'd like to see a return to more character-driven stuff. And I've read before, and I'm sure you've heard before, that a lot of that kind of storytelling has moved on to television. You have like the Mad Men and Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, AMC.
Right. We even like
AMC? Yeah.
well, especially even on HBO
Yeah.
and the premium channels is really where it's at for me. Because don't get me wrong, Breaking Bad is amazing.
Yeah.
I will be honest, The Walking Dead has kind of lacked in the last two seasons. Um, and I really feel like their new show, Preacher, should have gone to a premium channel.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what they
Because
pull off
it's
there.
like because I really think that like The Walking Dead's biggest mistake was going to a cable channel. Because now Cinemax is doing Outcast, which is Robert Kirkman's other
Okay.
graphic novel series which deals with, like, I guess, demons and possession and stuff like that. And that is going to a premium channel, probably because I'm sure he's a little kind of upset where The Walking Dead has gone
Yeah.
at this point with cable network limitations, I should say, because don't get me wrong, cable network has some great programming. Um, However, there's limitations in what you can do on cable versus premium channels, and that's probably why HBO continues to be the dominating network for the Emmys with their television programming. I mean, you, I mean, cable networks actually started taking note from premium channels because, like, the X Files, for instance.
Yeah.
Amazing that they brought that back, and it's the same show. It's literally the same show that it was in the 90s and when they ended it in the early 2000s. And they even play on the fact that they did end it and bring up little tidbits that are from the show prior, like I was watching one of the episodes, and it was actually one of the funniest episodes that I've seen, especially for the show being gone for as long as it was and then coming back. But it was like a monster episode, one of the anthology episodes, and it was so funny because it was it had the New Zealand comedian from um, the Jim Carrey movie Yes Man.
Okay.
And he was also the lead werewolf in What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
That guy. And it was basically, in a sense, a were-human. So, like, let me just explain that.
Sure.
A were-human is a monster that gets bitten by a human, transforming the monster into a human. And just imagine where that goes from there.
That explains
And
a lot of my good
and basically, like, there's a part in it where Scully is, like, going to confront who they think is the serial killer, and Mulder says something like, why didn't you wait for backup? And she says, well, like, I figured I could handle it, and besides, I can't die, remember? Because dating back to one of the episodes in the original series, Scully uh, met when they had Jeffrey Lewis guest star in an episode. Jeffrey Lewis's character, the late great Jeffrey Lewis, um, could, like, apparently looked away from death, and therefore he became immortal. And he was like a photographer that photographed death because he looked away from death. He had a knack for knowing when people were going to die, and he basically made a living on taking photos of these accidents happening right after they happen because he's there to, like, see basically this is about to happen. And because Scully got shot in that episode and she was going to die, he just wanted to die, so he told her look away from death. So she did, and now she's technically, like, immortal in a sense.
I do appreciate self-referential
Right.
humor. Not to divert conversation,
Right.
but I got to talk about my influence. You talked about
Right.
your
Right.
influence.
Go ahead.
Scott's over here sucking on water.
Yeah, sucking on water, not whiskey.
Not whiskey.
Yeah.
I really want the listening audience to think you're just a lush over here.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear more about Scott's.
Yeah. What is Scott's influences?
I think in general I'm more of a grounded kind of guy. I'm not a cinephile in the sense that I can list a lot of films and directors off the top of my head. But I wholly agree that I'm much more character driven, story driven. The films I kind of gravitate to are much more grounded in that sense. Not that I don't think there's place for that, like in the worlds you guys are talking about, like the sci-fi and horror films and stuff like that. I just think that it's much more common in other universes, and especially what we're talking about, like um, absolutely with video on demand. I think the key word there is like on demand is people have to know about these films care about them. And I think, with these theatrical releases, they make these releases because they know there's an audience. So it's safe money. It's safe money. You put it out there, people are gonna buy it. And it's not always the case, but in general, they know the formula. Whereas with like video on demand, you can be, much more risky and put something out there because people can demand it and it can still be sustainable in some way. And it's kind of sad in some ways that, um, people can't go to a theater and stumble into a good movie. It's kind of sad in that way, but the industry will change and it will change again. And I'm interested to see where video on demand goes because that is definitely more in line with the kind of material that I like to consume and the kind of material I like to make as well. Um, so yeah, I'm interested in kind of the video on demand and also the crossover between like theatrical and video on demand and like how some films end up in theater. Like, how did they pull that off? Because there are videos on demand out there that are much more theatrical in nature. And some of the theatrical releases are like, I can't believe they got away with this. This is a good movie, and I feel like I would watch this, and no one else would. So yeah, I'd like to see more of a return to those kind of movies, but I'm not expecting that to stick around as some kind of mainstream.
Until we release Alko She. And
Right, right.
You know
That,
what?
And then
that's
change the
that's
world.
that's
We're really
that's
kind
going
of
to
missing
change
out.
the
Yeah.
world, change the
Yeah.
game. You know.
And they know where to find us. www.alkoshi.com.
World changers by day.
Werewolves by night.
We're humans.
We're humans.
We're humans by night.
Yeah, did you see Witch? That was one that
I did not.
that was very much. I'm like, that is an independent film. I mean, it was an independent film, and they tricked all these people into seeing it in the big cinemas. I saw it at AMC on the waterfront. I'm like, oh, or Lowe's or whatever.
Whatever it's called
Whatever.
these days.
Lowe's, I'm like,
Lowe's slash AMC
you've
slash
slash duped all these people.
right.
You got them to watch an indie film.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, so I think they're out there. It's really hard to find. But for like indie guys like us, like we could charge for this if we wanted to.
I think it's something that's really interesting about like crowdfunding and stuff like that is it offers some level of like democracy back to filmmaking, where you do have the option to fund these things and to put filmmakers in a position to breach that market. And it's not just you have to take what's given to you, and what you're given right now is just general not very good. So it offers some level of like democracy where people can find these things or be shown them and say, yeah, you know what? I would watch that. Here's $10, and that's like a vote. Yeah, it helps like the funding, but it's also like a vote of confidence. Like this is material that I would consume. This is material, and obviously like something like our film, we're not gonna change the industry overnight, but there's thousands of projects out there like us, and like together with enough success of these projects, it makes an impact on the industry, and the industry has to recognize and has to listen, has to evolve with that. Um, so I think that's one of the exciting things about like crowdfunding and stuff like that. It's just like it gives power to consumers again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the movie industry. The companies are obsessed with making these giant films. They're expensive, and if they lose out, they could be done. I mean, we've lost major film companies in the last couple of years. So if they see there is a want for this kind of film, then they're going to make that kind of film. They want to make money, so they'll make that kind of film. So instead of bashing these big summer films, which I enjoy them as much as anybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
We need what I would like to see happen through our stuff and other people's stuff through video on demand is seeing people actually want to see different kinds of films. To sit, I work with a lot of people that just kind of watch whatever's put in front of them. Like they see a commercial for Batman versus Superman, they're gonna see Batman versus Superman. What I would like to see is those people who like movies, who genuinely want to see a movie, try different things, and that's what we're trying to put out is something different. So yeah, it'd be pretty nice if that would happen.
Yeah, and I think in terms of like uh, bigger distributors picking up movies like that, we looked at two different lists. We looked at like movies had the highest gross, in terms of numbers, and then we looked at movies that had the highest return on investment, which were two like very different lists. All the biggest grossing movies, none of those are really surprises. You got like the Avengers and
Yeah, a lot
you
of
have
superhero movies, Jurassic Park movies,
Titanic
Right,
and
right.
Avatar and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then some of the return on investments movies were like really surprising, where they were just movies that they were able to make so cheaply.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding was like
Yeah,
the
and
number
like
one.
I think
Where
like
they made it for like
Pretty
$5 and it made
Woman
like
or
a zillion dollars.
stuff
Yeah.
like that, where it's just
Right.
like it's just movies about people. Really, they're so cheap to make, and so it's not like superhero movies are like, oh, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be so cheap to make, and we're definitely gonna make all this money.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they know it's gonna work, but like at the end of the day, if you can have more of those kinds of movies where it's like they're just movies, but people latched onto them and found something in them, I just think there's still room for that because the numbers clearly show it.
Well, exactly. Well, one of the most iconic Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
that film is basically shot in one location for the majority of the movie, and he proved that he actually did something that was groundbreaking before he did the really really groundbreaking thing, which was Pulp Fiction in terms of how he told that story. But Reservoir Dogs, yes, exactly. Good old Quentin. But yes, like Reservoir Dogs, the entire movie for the most part is one location. Um, a few different locations throughout the movie, but again, like I would say probably 75% of the movie is one location, and the other 25% is split up amongst various different locations. But to have the entire movie basically take place in one location and then have it be as tense and as um, character driven and uh, conflict going on, all the conflict that's going on in that movie, in those scenes throughout the movie, is just shows that it's like you don't need a whole bunch of money to make a good movie. Um, I just saw Ryan Reynolds in Selfless. Came out last summer, and if you're familiar with a movie from the '90s with Emilio Estevez and Rene Russo and Anthony Hopkins called Free Jack, it's like a kind of like a one of those B grade um, kind of in a sense post-apocalyptic sci-fi movies. And basically, whoever wrote this movie, which I need to look that up because I was blown away at how awesome this movie was. It was basically a straight. Whoever wrote it watched Free Jack and said they have a great concept here. However, this is '90s like B grade.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this same concept and just make this better, and that's what this screenwriter did. And for being a sci-fi kind of action movie, um, there's hardly any actual effects. In fact, I don't think there's any CG in the terms of like what we think of with like a sci-fi action movie of today. In fact, everything is pretty much practical, and the only effects are like shooting and like a few explosions and stuff like that. But for the most part, there's no actual big budget like effects needed to make a sci-fi movie. And the fact that they could do that still and prove that they can do that still and make a movie that's not only like a great movie, but it's like a sci-fi movie with concept um, is really good to know and entertaining. And I was blown away with it that actually they've been playing it on Cinemax and I missed it in theaters, and I watched it on Cinemax. I'm like, holy fucking shit! I can't believe I missed this in theaters, and I bought it immediately on Blu-ray, even though they're still playing.
Selfless.
Selfless, yes, great concept sci-fi movie, and it's watch Free Jack and then watch Selfless, and you'll be able to be like, I see what they did here. But it's a great film, and it just reiterates what you guys are saying, is that you don't need like a huge budget to make something great, because filmmaking is about the storytelling. The effects and everything else comes secondary.
Yeah.
The storytelling abilities is what really drives an audience going to see a movie. It's not, the explosions and the CG and everything else that is added to the movie. It's simply that it starts with the script and the storytelling abilities of the writer telling the story.
I think there's something to be said about having the limitation of money. Um, and you were talking about limitations earlier as far as what you can show on TV and what you can show on HBO versus cable, and all of that. And I've found throughout stuff that I've worked on in college and now that limitations are initially just the worst thing you want to deal with. Like, we don't have money to make that happen, or Scott will kindly inform me, Jack, there's literally no way we can do that legally, um, without killing an actor. Uh, yeah.
Which sometimes is necessary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there have been actors where it didn't seem like such a bad sacrifice.
Auditions June 11th. For example, we had this scene, and I kind of knew when I was writing it. I'm like, I have no idea how we're going to do this. Um, and I'll again be as vague as possible. It happens in a tunnel, like a drive through a tunnel, and it's like a lot of shootout and driving around and kind of like that kind of like Mad Max stuff, but in a tunnel. Um, and Scott's like, well, there's A, legally can't be done. B, safely cannot be done. C, financially cannot be done. I'm like, all right, well, how do we make this scene happen? Like, we have all these limitations. Um, and we're like, well, in the scene in general, like out of the whole script that I'd written, I'm like, that was the one scene that like wasn't quite clicking. Like, visually great, cool. Like, it looks really in my head, it looks really cool. But like for character stuff, like again, we didn't want to be cool. We wanted to have it be character driven, and we have Marla in the car with this guy that she's kidnapped, quote saving, kind of is not at all, but is, but isn't. You'll see. Watch the movie. It's just kind of them in the car. He's driving, she's shooting, and that's it. So presented with these limitations, we're like, well, what if we keep the camera in the car the whole time? Like instead of jumping from like the assailants, their car, and then this car, and then we're driving another car, and we're shooting that, and just all these kind of moving the camera around. Like, what if we keep it really just kind of in the car on these two, and you can have a little bit more like interaction between them because of that, and develop their relationship for better or worse. Watch the movie. And had we been in a situation that somebody's like, don't worry, we'll shut down the bridge. We'll get the proper licensing, and we'll get some stunt doubles, and we'll get like a trailer, hook the car up, not a problem. It's, throw some money at the problem.
Money at it.
Yeah. Then we wouldn't have discovered that, and the scene again might have looked cool, but would not have developed the characters anyway. Would not have been, to me at least, as interesting of a scene. So I think there's something to be said about having limitations, and it makes you more creative because of that. So I'm also looking forward to Preacher, and I've read some of the comics, so I'm like, I don't know how they're gonna do that, but there's some smart guys on that team, so I think they're gonna do what I just said, and be more creative because of their limitations. Um, so to the point where, for us, I'm almost nervous to the point where one day we theoretically, hopefully, have money, um, and I'm just like, you know what, just pay for the, whatever, just throw money at it, because then I've just limited myself as an artist. Like I could have come up with something more creative, but since I had money, I didn't have to worry about it. So hear that, don't give me money. I don't want money.
That was the point.
www.rpg.com.
I definitely, and I'm sure you've already experienced this a lot of times where filmmakers of all levels, us especially, obviously, but all the way up to the big leagues have limitations. It's very easy to view those as curses rather than blessings, which really they are because they open more doors than they close. I feel like, and once you get on top of a hurdle, you start to oh, now I'm on top of here, I can see all these other hurdles more clearly now. Whereas if you just barge straight through them, you don't see what's going on behind the next one. You just barge straight through. You throw stuff at the problem, you throw more money, you throw more people, and if you have them, great, But and it's something that we talk about. Going back to Quentin Tarantino, we'd love to see a lot of directors now.
Let's pitch our reality TV show.
Here's your reality TV show.
So, Scott and I have this Raymond Speed Pictures copyright 2016. We have this idea for a reality TV show where we take the biggest directors who started small, like Quentin or Chris Nolan with The Falling, all these directors that smart with really quote unquote tiny movies, and then got big, Chris Nolan just did a gajillion dollar and a kidney movie, Interstellar, and it was great. It was cool enough, but I feel like he was we want to show Matthew McConaughey tripping through time and space. Here's all the money in the world, make it happen. I'm I want to see what Chris Nolan can do now with all the knowledge he's gained throughout the years, or what Quentin's gained throughout the years. Quentin, my good buddy Quentin. What they would do with $1,000 budget, or even a $5,000 budget. What can you do if we drop you in a city with $5,000? Go back to making the movie that you used to make, or what kind of movie could you make now?
That's a great idea, because it's giving it's a great idea because it's they've experienced that, and then they've gone so far from that at the same time, and to give an existing director the chance to go back and be okay, you have those skills. Here's a $5,000 budget, like you said. Do what you can. You can't go over. You can have money left over, but if you can, but you cannot go a dime over, penny over.
And for the record, I completely think that Quentin Tarantino could do it.
He could totally do it. Nolan. I think he's kind of
What do you mean? That's my day rate.
Right.
I think that amount in coffee today. I would love to see that show. But again, copyright.
I'm totally with you. Or again, Tarantino is such a good example. Reservoir Dogs. I love that movie. I'm a lukewarm Tarantino fan, but Reservoir Dogs is I love it. I love it. It's so simple yet effective, and everything since then is I enjoy. What happened to that magic?
Right.
And it didn't come from all these things that we have now. It just came from Tarantino.
Right.
Got some good actors. You put them in a small ass room, and you added a shitload of tension. Done.
Right. Exactly. The thing they keep reiterating at us at Point Park is conflict. Gotta have the conflict in every single scene, no matter how big or how small the scene is. Because conflict gives the tension, gives the audience the ability to be what the fuck is going to happen next? And if you can keep an audience being what the fuck is going to happen next, then you have hooked an audience, and they are in for whatever the hour and a half to 2 hours to 2.5 hours, we're going with some movies today, like Interstellar. um, but I mean, that's what it's all about, and creating a movie like that is really what it's all about.
Here.
I mean, even in I don't know, this 15, 20 minute short we're making. I don't know. We'll find out. I've seen shorts that are like 2 minutes long that I'm like, you have no conflict at all. Like you couldn't have conflict for 2 minutes, and you somehow made it that I cannot finish this 2 minute short. So yeah, it's absolutely about conflict unless you're doing an art film, then you can do whatever you want.
Right.
But as far as like traditional narratives go, yeah, conflict. And again, that's one of the things that was missing from that tunnel scene was like there's conflict in the sense that like people are trying to kill them with guns, but there's no conflict character to character. So yeah, without that limitation, we would not have had that. So yeah, let's start another Kickstarter. See if we can get Quentin and Mr. Nolan involved and start that reality show.
Yeah.
Sell it to HBO so we can have all the
Right.
swears and 3
Right.
ladies we want.
Right.
We can get. I don't know. Has Paul Verhoeven ever done like a small budget? Did he start in small budgets?
I'm sure he probably started out
Yeah.
in small budget.
Yeah.
Him though, I mean, he would be pretty hard to get to do like a small budget at this point. I mean,
that's the point. Like
I know, but he's like he's getting up there in age, and that's kind of hard for those guys to let them get back. I mean, I just shared on Facebook that Verhoeven is trying to direct Schwarzenegger in The Legend of Conan.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
That is the only guy right to do the job at this point.
Who did the first two?
Forget who.
Milius, right? John Milius did one of them.
Yes, I know Oliver Stone wrote the screenplay for Conan the Barbarian.
So strange.
Yes, before like he was actually.
Oliver Stone, that's who
yes,
you need.
that's who you need, Oliver Stone.
Okay, put on the
yes,
list.
yes.
Good call.
He could totally do it.
Yeah,
he could totally do it. But yeah, and I forget who wrote the screenplay for the second one, which like this is why I love the 80s.
Yeah. It's pretty 80s.
Because Conan the Barbarian is R. And Conan the Destroyer is PG. The only difference between like the actual films Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer is that there's literally no nudity in Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah.
But there's just as much graphic violence with like
America.
the 80s America.
Yeah.
80s America. Because like by the 90s, like we're starting to get to where we're at now because movies like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they straight up show that's PG, and they straight up show Splinter's master getting murdered by a katana.
Great.
Like, and this
I was so scared by that movie.
This is for kids, like
it's pretty dark.
You know, which is what I love about the '90s. Also, because like you can still get away with some awesome stuff. Like I just recently bought the first 2 seasons of Ren and Stimpy uncut, and going back and watching that show, I'm like, all right, one, I am the sole reason this show got canceled. 2, this is genius. This is genius, and in no way would ever fly today.
No, a lot of those early Nickelodeon shows.
Right.
No days.
Right.
I do like the movies that came out, like Conan the Barbarian or Ghostbusters, that were not really meant for kids.
Right.
Or, like kids really were drawn to it, so in the sequel they like neutered it. Like in the commentary for Ghostbusters too, they're like, yeah, in the first movie we're like swearing, making these like really, kind of sexual jokes, we're all smoking, and then the next movie, none of that. We all quit smoking by the second movie.
At the same time, like Ghostbusters 2 is actually scarier than Ghostbusters 1, which is like it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
They may have toned down on some stuff, but in the other regards, they made that movie like more scarier than the first one was, because like the tone of 2 is like really like more towards the horror aspect, where 1 was more of like the raunchy,
it's
a bro movie.
Yeah.
The I remember being like 5 and seeing the bathtub scene where like the ooze kind of like reaches out there.
Right.
And I would not bathe for a week. I was so scared. That scene really affected me.
Still to this day.
Only showers. Only showers. Yeah.
Right.
Ugh. Yeah, man. So do we wanna shamelessly plug our product one more time?
Yep.
All right. So once again, the reason we're here is to talk to you guys about our Remy Speed Pictures possibly final big grand finale short film, Out Goes She. And if you've liked what you've heard so far, you can check us out. Check out our Kickstarter. Maybe pledge a kidney or two, or $5. Up to you. You can check it out at www.outgoesshe.com, which also has a link to our short films that we've already made, and music videos, and all of those shenanigans. Also, if you are an actor or actress and you want to be a part of this madness, see a therapist immediately. Or you can come to auditions June 11th from noon to 2 p.m. at Pittsburgh Filmmakers.
All right.
Thank you for having us on your
Absolutely.
podcast.
Yes, and we wish you the best of luck transitioning into the real world, as they
Thank
call
you.
it.
Thank you. Jack and Scott, great to have you swimming in the bowl.
Yeah.
The water's warm. Thank you.
Yes. Quite warm.
It's all that whiskey's got to drink.
Yeah.
Right. The mass amounts of whiskey. Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure having you guys on the show.
You too, sir.
And thanks for swimming in the ball.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, okay.
Hey, yes.
That's fine.
I
You're
thought I was
also
gonna-
no.
We
I had.
So we're
we
both
did.
gonna wear the
We're
shirt.
gonna both wear the shirt. Hi, we're Remy Speed Pictures. You may recognize us from some of our work, such as "I Love You But,"
Or Knife Bricker, The Brickening,
or perhaps Old Game's music video for the Hunter song.
as well as a bunch of other garbage.
Garbage, so much garbage!
Yes, we've spammed your Facebook wall with quite a bit of shenanigans over the last couple of years, but don't worry, an end is in sight.
Indeed it is, Jack. See, like most people, ramming speed is plagued by bills.
Freaking bills.
And girlfriends.
Totally awesome girlfriend. Seriously, the best people ever.
And moving to Portland.
Portland, land of beer.
So, ramming speed will be going into hibernation for the foreseeable future.
But fear not, loyal Ramming Speed jabronis and friendly internet strangers. Ramming Speed has one final story to tell.
Everything we've worked on till this point has been a job.
An awesome job.
Or practice.
Awesome practice.
But now it's time for the grand finale. Something that will push us further as artists than we've ever been pushed before.
A short film entitled Out Goes She, Ramming Speed's final gift to the world.
And here's our friendly neighborhood director, Jack, with the story of Out Goes She.
Oh, hello there. I'm Jack Culbertson, writer and director of Out Goes She. What's Out Goes She, you ask? Why, it's a balls-out crime thriller, heist film, car-chasing, one-woman cheetah with a heart full of napalm short film. At least that's how other people describe it. But for me, the guns and guts and blood are all just a backdrop for what Marla's really going through. It's the story of a woman with a passive death wish and the hopelessness involved in that situation. It's the story of a woman who purposely puts herself into a dangerous situation for the sake of revenge. But, of course, even that doesn't go as planned. What do you think, Joe?
I'm producing!
Now Scott's going to talk about money.
Ramming speed in the house! Let's do this, boys!
Ramming Speed Pictures, yeah, I'm director of photography. Company name sounds like we only do pornography. But see, what we're about is some cinematic art. More flavor than kombucha, cause we preach it from the heart. But making films is tough, unless you got the dough. So when we ask for yours, you're thinking,
Yeah, I don't think
yeah,
so.
wouldn't give me money either if I had a choice. But Hollywood is failing, and we think it's time to have a new voice.
5, 6, 7. All good children go to heaven.